Now, this seems to be going around on the internet, and for some reason, no one has any sort of skepticism. It's like if you read it on a piece of paper and it's got letters on it, you automatically believe it to the point that you will argue with people that don't believe it. It's kind of like when you're in kindergarten and you're arguing with other kids that don't believe in Santa Claus. You know, like you're very passionate about it, you're very opinionated, and you're willing to even throw hands if someone disagrees with you. The reality is, like, no one knows. I mean, no one I'm talking about from the audience or from Twitter, because, like, no one actually goes to North Korea to see these things. And on top of that, North Korea is a very closed state, so they don't allow press. Like, even if you do the unthinkable, the most stupid thing ever, and you actually travel there as a tourist, you get a guide, you're escorted around the checkpoints that you're supposed to see, and they don't let you film anything except the things that they want you to film. So when you have news like this, which is so baffling, it can be true, but it also can't. People are saying that it's American propaganda. Like, how exactly does it serve the United States? I mean, we already know that North Korea has gulags, and we have survivors from North Korea, and they tell us how things are there, right? So, like, I don't really necessarily see this as a propaganda. Now, the reason I even open the conversation isn't that I just speculate and that I don't have anything useful to say, is that I wanted to point out that the Romanian communist regime had a lot in common with the North Korean regime. And this is due to the fact that at some point in his life, the dictator Ceausescu actually traveled to North Korea and saw the cult of the personality that the dictator there had. And when he came back, he imported everything, including the choreographed dances, including a lot of the propaganda and the mythos, and all of the, you know, like demigod-like status. He attributed to himself. So he copied a lot of stuff from North Korea. And this is why, like, a lot of Romanians who actually watch videos from North Korea that a lot of Americans don't believe were like, well, this happened here. Like, it's almost like going back to my childhood, you know? Because, like, after communism fell, it didn't change overnight. And we still had, like, footage on television, and we saw how things used to be. So, yeah, like, it's a huge similarity. Now, the thing with music is that in Romania, a lot of Western music was banned. And this puzzled a lot of Westerners because when you look at some of the rock metal bands and stuff that existed in the 80s and the 90s, they were incredibly leftist, right? Like, they were preaching the correct message, if you will. So why would the communists ban them? Well, the reason is that it humanized the West. Because the communists wanted to demonize the West, right? So when you listen to the music that the hippies were making and you're in a communist nation, and it's like, oh, whoa, like, they are facing the same struggles that we are, like, they're trying to accomplish the same thing we are, but they're from the West, right? So it humanizes them, and obviously, like, the communist leaders didn't like that, so they issued a blanket ban. But, like, what would happen to someone that actually did play this music? I mean, they would get arrested, right? Or pay a fine. But like, if you are distributing the music that you were in, then the punishment would have been a little bit more severe. And, you know, it could even take you to a prison that they wanted you to be re-educated. But under no circumstance they would kill you for it. Like, this is why it's really bizarre. So the only thing that would make sense is if the person was someone that had to go, like, it was someone that had to get super canceled, because we don't get any details about it. Like, was it a politician? You know, was it someone that was an influential local leader? Like, all of these are questions that haven't been answered. And if that was the case, like, if it's like a community leader or someone of influence that was gaining power and they just wanted him gone, like, what the communists would usually do is, like, they would slap a bullshit thing, you know, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, this person has disappeared. So, for instance, in Romania, it was illegal to have any sort of currency other than the Romanian leu. So if you are caught having dollars, if you are caught having francs, or literally any other currency, you would go to prison. So, like, if the police wanted you gone, like, what they would do is, like, they would send the Securitate to your house, they would start searching the apartment, and it's like, oh, look, we just found a dollar bill. Oh, Dios mío. You're collaborating with the capitalist pigs. And then you would be locked up, right? So usually the trial was expedient. I mean, sure, you got a lawyer that most of the time would scream at you for being against the party. So no justice was done. But, like, the unmentionables and the undesirables were dealt with this way. So, like if this actually happened, if this man actually got killed for listening to music, then it's possible they actually did the same, right? Like they go into his house, they find it, oh, look at the record, you're listening to K-pop stuff, and then they execute him. But again, I don't think like anyone gets executed for music though, right? Especially since it's like a waste of manpower. Like why not put him in a gulag? Like usually the governments are trying to make something productive, unless they're really against the South Korean K-pop and they want to make a message. Like this could also be a potential thing where they basically just want to send a message that would not only be directed towards their people, but it also would be directed to the people smuggling, right? Because even like smugglers do have a conscience. Like even they do not necessarily want people to die. They're smuggling music, so like, but then you realize, oh shit, like I'm smuggling music and the people getting caught are actually killed. And some people would not care about that, like they wouldn't have any moral issue with it. But other people would genuinely feel horrible, right? So they may stop doing it. And this could be a possibility. Again, I think it's very unlikely. Like, I understand that North Korea is this mythical country where things are really bad. And the answer is that yes, no, like, trust me, as a person that had parents living through communism and experiencing a little bit myself, it is bad. All right? Like, if it wasn't bad, the borders wouldn't be closed. Because I see a lot of Americans trying to defend it and say, no, it's actually great. Well, if it's so fucking great, why can't people leave? Like, that is the only question. Like, if a country is great, you don't lock the borders. I mean, hell, even China. Like, look at China. Like, China doesn't lock its people in. It doesn't prevent people from leaving China. But North Korea does. Because it's a bad place. So, even though it's a bad place, and even though, like, human rights abuses happen, there are certain things that are incredibly outlandish. Like, there are certain things that are so beyond the pale, and chances are that they probably are. I personally do not believe that this has happened, but I wouldn't rule it out completely. Like, there is a small possibility. And again, you can't really know. Like, we'll never know because we can't actually travel there to ask people, right? I can't go on social media and actually ask North Koreans and see, hey, what do you think about this? Like, did this actually happen? Right? You can't do that. So how can I know? I guess I have to trust the press. And of course, the press absolutely never lies to people. I mean, it never happened in the history of mankind that the press published something sensational or, maybe they were even misinformed. Because again, like, they don't have, like, the press corps there, right? So, like, anyone that tells them something from the insiders, if they bullshit the press, how can the press fact check? Will they ask, like, Kim Jong-un? It's like, hey, did you actually do it? So that's my feelings on the matter. Someone asked me to comment on this, so I did. And let me know what you think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.